and I'm going to turn it over to Karen Stewart, who I have had the pleasure of working with over the last year. And she'll tell you a little bit more about who she is if you've never met her before, because she has a wonderful background. And she truly is a friend, a colleague, and she inspires me every time she gives a talk. So I hope she does the same for you. So with that, Karen, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Brett, and thank you for your kind words. I also want to acknowledge, just even though he's not here yet, but Jack and the work at the Senior Center, and it's always a privilege and pleasure for me to be asked to speak to you all. I'm a nurse for a very long time. Most of my clinical practice has been in the area of cardiovascular disease prevention and management, but I've also worked in nursing education, staff development, and integrative medicine. And my post prior to retiring at the end of 2020 from Eisenhower was as the director of the Ranker Wellness Center, which includes our pulmonary and cardiac rehab programs, as well as the heart failure clinic. So I hope to present information to each of you that touches you in some way. It's always helpful for me if any of you have something that you really want to hear about and want to be sure that you leave with some pearl. If you'd share that now by unmuting or sending a message to Brett, that's helpful for me, and then we can circle back at the end and make sure that I've touched on whatever topic or question or comment you are giving up an hour of your time in order to have addressed. So are there any goals for each of you or comments before we get started?
I am not. Nope, we're good. I don't think anyone has anything currently, so you're good to go.
Okay. As Brett said, these are more casual topics. So if over the course of our time together, we certainly can have Q&A at the end, but if your experience is such that you would like to share with those of us that are on the call something related to our topic, please feel free. That's one of the benefits of programs like this is we all get to learn from one another. So don't be shy, and please offer up any comments or experiences that you may wish to share as we go through our content. So without further ado, we'll get started. Gratitude is an important component of overall health and well-being. And I will share that in preparation for this talk, it's a topic that I have found over the last 20 plus years was really important and made a huge difference in my life. I didn't quite appreciate how much literature from the mid-2000s forward to today has been devoted to the topic. So when we get to the resources section at the end of our time, we're going to spend more time than usual on resources. There are some excellent resources that are available if this is a topic of interest to you, which I assume it will be because you're giving up an hour of your time. So let's get going. So just to give you an overview of our agenda, now it's going to go do it itself. We've had a bit of a discussion. We're going to talk about what gratitude actually is. Brett, I may need you to help me here. It seems to be advancing on its own. So we'll talk about gratitude. We're going to talk about definition. We'll talk about purpose. Yes, we'll do it this way. And then this was a great little chart on benefits that I found in one of our resources.
So you can go back, Karen. You should be able to click on it and go back. It's not allowing you?
No, it is. But it seems to be running on its own.
Yeah.
So let's see. All right, we'll try it again. Thank you, Brett, and excuse all for that. So what is gratitude? I always like to start there, whatever our topics so we at least have a shared common idea and concept. One of the best resources that I found is by Smith and al. He is the editor of a book, The Gratitude Project, out of UC Berkeley and UC Davis. He defines it as the recognition of how the positive things in our lives often occur as a result. I apologize for the helicopter. That rarely happens, but of course it would happen now. So I guess we can be grateful that helicopters can fly today, and I'm guessing that's probably headed to the Stennis Center. So a recognition of how positive things in our life often occur as a result of our interpersonal relationships, which is to say, outside of ourselves. And as we continue to go through our content, I really hope to impress the importance of gratitude as an emotion that connects us to others. It is similar to appreciation, but it's deeper, according to the work of the Gratitude Project. And so they are related, but not the same. And gratitude would be at another level beneath appreciation. Gratitude, the evidence shows us, encourages that pay it forward mindset. So it is shown that when we are feeling grateful, that we recognize that that's often about something that has occurred outside of ourselves, and that feeling encourages us to pay it forward to others. So it is a very powerful emotion, and I hope to demonstrate that to you as we go further through some of its benefits. In the Gratitude Project book, one of the many authors that is within the text defines gratitude as the moral memory of mankind. And when I read that, that seemed very profound to me. Because if we think about gratitude as being about appreciation and looking at the positive things in our life, then there is a morality in that. And so if it also invites us to pay it forward to others and is connected to others just by its very presence, then it makes sense to me, and I hope to you, that it actually provides a memory that then is shared over time across mankind. And that is really powerful. So this emotion of gratitude that we're often very casual about, if we really spend time with it and delve into its true meaning, it is one of the most remarkable tools we have to enhance and optimize our overall health and well-being. So what does it do? And when I'm talking about the topic and the evidence or the science, this is based on science. This is not based on pop psychology. The Gratitude Project text is filled with studies that are reported in layman's language, but this is science. So it heightens our sense of joy, and I think most of us would like to have joy in our lives. It also brings about physiological benefits, particularly to the cardiovascular and neurologic systems. So some of you may have heard me talk in the past about stress management, meditation, blah, blah, blah. Stress management, I love the work of John Kabat-Zinn. It's not a new work, but it has withstood the test of time. Full Catastrophe Living. It's a text on mindfulness, and I have referred to it often over the last 25 years. But when I think about the physiology of stress management, and we also learn the physiology of gratitude, I am reminded the body wants to do what the mind tells it. So in the definition of stress that I use, there are many, it is the demand for change, and it is based on perception. So if my mind has perceived that there is danger, then my body reacts. A whole cascade of events occur in reaction to that. So, for example, just a couple minutes ago, when that helicopter flew over, to me, now I'm not in any physical danger, but I could feel myself tense up because, oh my goodness, what if it's going to keep flying? And who would want to sit and listen to a helicopter fly? So what's going to happen? My body changed as a result of that. And when I could tell it was flying away, I could feel my body relax. So I hope that makes sense. And we'll talk a little bit more about those benefits, both to the cardiovascular system, particular for heart, and to the neurologic system in terms of actually, it can help us rewire our brains. And we'll talk about that with some of our resources. I was introduced to journaling 25 years ago. And I was also introduced to a book that was just a daily inspiration called Simple Abundance. It was written primarily for women, and it's now a whole industry, but the original book, she invites you to read for the day and then to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. So that's how I first started to journal about gratitude. And I don't do it every day. I may do months where I'm not writing it down, but some of the evidence shows it actually is more powerful when we do. And it helps to actually move us toward our goals. So it is, and we'll talk about it as we continue on, but consider, maybe you've never journaled in your life, and maybe you'll decide not to write it, but taking time, even maybe in the evening, if you pray as you say your prayers, to note specific things, three or so, that you are grateful for that particular day. And that changes our brain, and it also has benefits to us in our lives. So I loved this little cartoon from Winnie the Pooh that says, Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, he could really hold a rather large amount of gratitude. So I thought that was a neat thing, and it certainly made me smile, as I hope it does you when we think about the children's story, Winnie the Pooh. So what are some of the benefits? They are many, as I hope this shows you. And this comes from one of the resources, which we'll go over later in the book. It's a website. But what I want to demonstrate for you here is that the benefits are across all aspects of our lives. So emotionally, we'll start there. Gratitude is an emotion. It gives us a good feeling. It helps us to relax. It also helps us to become more resilient. Resiliency is extremely important in stress management and the reduction of stress in our lives. It's that bounce back when something bad happens or unexpected. It causes us to be less envious, because if we are contemplating gratitude, we're thinking about the things that we have and not focusing on what's wrong or what we don't have. And it also creates happier memories because we are acknowledging the positive things that have come to us. Socially, it encourages us to be more social, because remember, part of the concept is gratitude takes us outside of ourselves, and it really helps to focus on others and how their relationships with us have brought us goodness or positivity. In terms of the social literature, happier marriages. It causes us to be kinder. I think that's something our world could use a lot more of, kindness. And I have a saying that says, kindness changes everything. Gratitude can change everything too, but it can change many things. And it puts us into that softer, more positive mindset, which, remember, changes our physiology and how our body works. It deepens our relationships. The thank you to a friend, maybe it's the thank you to the cashier in the grocery store who's working really hard and is coming in contact with lots of people every day, has a smile on her face or his face, and is always happy to help. So it's acknowledging those people in our lives. Sometimes they're almost, we don't really see them. But when we start to see them, then we can deepen not only that relationship, but it helps us to deepen our other relationships as well. And that goes on into our friendships. It's important in careers, and whether that is a working career or my retirement volunteering career, it leads us to better management of those goals, to improve networking, and that goes back to the social aspect. I'm more engaged in my world. It helps me to achieve my goals. And it improves my decision making. Just to go back to physiology, if I am in a state of mind that is relaxed, then so is my body. And I can be responsive when a decision is made. If I am uptight, ticked off, and angry, and now I need to make a decision, that is tense and uptight. And that is my body as a result of the message from my brain. I am more likely to react when I make a decision in that state. And in my experience, those are the decisions that I either regret or I need to make some amends for. So it runs into not only our social lives, but also our work life, whether that is work at a job or work in volunteering and within my community. Health-wise, it's also very important. It helps to improve sleep. I'm in a more positive mindset. I'm not as likely to be ruminating about who cut me off in traffic, what am I going to do about this bill? It allows me to be in a better mindset, and as a result, that also can facilitate improved sleep. It boosts my immune system, which means I'm probably not as sick. There is some evidence that it also enhances longevity. You know, there's all kinds of research going on now about how can we all live to be longer, and the blue zones that look at places where people live well beyond 100 years. So gratitude, it has its place there. It encourages more exercise. I'm not so likely to be making excuses for why I can't take a walk or why I'm not going to my class or whatever. And as a result, it's also linked to an improved sense of energy. So we've talked about the emotion of gratitude, how it feels, how that impacts and enhances our social relationships, our work life, our overall health and well-being. And it also enhances our personality. Well, how is that? Well, remember, the concept helps to get us out of ourselves and to improve our relationship with others. So it kind of follows that I'm probably less self-centered because I'm more focused on social interactions and other than on, you know, what I did or what I said wrong or, you know, woe is me. It leads to a more optimistic person. It increases our self-esteem. And it also, people who practice gratitude tend to be more spiritual. So let's talk about what is that. Spirituality is not necessarily religion. Religious people definitely, generally, have a spiritual component to the balance in their lives. But people can be spiritual without following religious doctrine. So that's what this is about. And it makes sense to me, and I hope it would make sense to you, because again, we're focused on being outside of ourselves more and recognizing the positive aspects of the lives that we are leading. And spirituality is about something, belief in something greater than myself. So spirituality may be about God, whatever you call God. Spirituality can also be about nature. That's how some people worship. They are in nature and they are mindful and they notice. And in the noticing, they tend to be grateful. It may be a group you belong to or a club for some people. That's okay. But again, it is putting ourselves beyond ourselves. It is connecting us to our greater world. And also, as a result, to our families and our communities, however that may look. So are there any comments about that? That's an awful lot about benefits of gratitude.
Nothing in the chat, but people feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question or give a thought. Okay, well then let's go on. And on the next slide, we're going to hear, it's a 2-minute tape from an NPR broadcast about the benefits of gratitude, not only for your soul, but also for your heart. So let's take a listen. Oops. There's no sound, Karen. So I think on your slide or screen share down at the bottom, that little icon. I'm trying to. Says I'm screen sharing. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It should have said do it with audio as well, but I'm not hearing it. Can you play it? I can't bring it up, so I don't have it handy. Okay, well then unfortunately, folks, I'll just have to tell you about it. But the site
is on your resource list, and when we get to your resource list um, shortly, we will talk about that, and I'll tell you that specific segment of NPR is also listed. I'm sorry, it's I do not know what to do about that. Okay, so let's talk about resources. A couple of these are from NPR. The one that we were going to listen to is from a Thanksgiving 2015 tape that is entitled "Gratitude is Good for the Soul and Helps the Heart Too." And they are looking at a study. This study, I believe, was a researcher from UCSD. And what they looked at people who had heart disease, not necessarily a heart attack, but some other form of heart disease. Maybe they had hypertension and elevated cholesterol risk factors. And they wanted to see what, and these folks journaled, what benefit, if any, that brought to the cardiovascular physiology. And what they found was that it reduced the markers for inflammation. If any of you see a cardiologist, you are probably aware that inflammation is a really big deal in the management of cardiovascular disease. And that's measured usually in a blood test called a C-reactive protein. Those markers went down. And they also had enhanced moods, not in this particular study, but in some others in the Gratitude Project. They found that people who were depressed, when they incorporated gratitude into their lives, it really helped with their depression. And I will share that I have had episodes of depression across my adult life, and gratitude journaling was very helpful. It was just another tool to use when I experienced an episode some 25 years ago. So it helped our hearts. Then the work, the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley is filled with all kinds of information. Gratitude is a big component, but it's not the only thing that you can find there. This particular article was from 2017, and they looked at how gratitude actually changes our brains. And it is, they've done studies where they would do experiments where people were encouraged to feel gratitude because of something they were given or whatever. And they looked to see what areas in the brain lighted up. And the areas in the brain that light up, probably not too surprising, are the ones related to emotion, so within our prefrontal cortex. But they also went a step further. And in one of the studies, they actually gave people like $5. And they were invited to give it away, a subset, and then another subset just got their $5. Well, everybody was grateful because they got $5. But the subset that actually gave the money away to a charity had enhanced benefit. And subsequent studies, not necessarily by the same researchers, but they found that people who are grateful overall actually do more charitable giving. And they're not sure exactly why that is, but they believe that some of it has to do with the areas of the brain that are lit when we are practicing those kinds of behaviors. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And that it not only does it make us feel better, but it also causes us to do better. And so that's really powerful, I think. And again, there's evidence that backs this up. It's not just me spouting. Um, the next resource is, I really commend this to you. It's a text, but you can get it in an ebook, which is how I have it. Or it's a paperback. You can purchase it, and it's called the Gratitude Project, and how thankfulness can rewire our brains. But it's also much broader than that. And it was published in 2020, so it's current data. They even talk some about COVID in it. There are essays, multiple essays, but the table of contents has, you can read a short essay on a particular topic if you'd like to look at the brain or look at the heart or look at within a family or within a community. So I think it's a very handy tool, and I found it as a result of prepping for our time together, and I'm believing that it's going to be one of those texts that I often go back to, and when I need a little boost in my spirit, that I can look for that, as well as there's poetry, and there's lots of different topics. So I highly commend. Smith is the editor, and it comes out of a collaboration between UC Berkeley and UC Davis. Another from Harvard, Giving Thanks Can Make You Happier. And again, these are studies, are not necessarily all, random controlled trials, but some of them are observational, some of them are surveys, but they continue to demonstrate the power of gratitude in lives that are healthier and also more joyful. Oops. Okay, there we go. So there is evidence from the part of the NIH is the National Cancer Blood Institute, and there are multitudes of articles there by scientists on gratitude and well-being. And I wanted to highlight that. Then we find in the business community, I also found a reference from Forbes that is about 7 proven benefits of gratitude. And Amy Morin wrote that particular article, again, around Thanksgiving, but I would commend that to you. The Ultimate Science-Backed Guide, 31 Benefits of Gratitude, that was where that algorithm on all the benefits, that's where I lifted that. And it's from a wonderful website I had never heard of called happierhuman.com. And it is so robust with all kinds of information. I did my search there on just what they had to say about gratitude, but it is, I highly commend it to you. And I'd never heard of it before. It has science behind it. Some of it there are blogs and videos. And one video that I would also commend to you very strongly from this site is when we get to, we're going to talk about apps in a minute, and they have great information there on apps. I wanted to include some of my early exploration into gratitude, the Simple Abundance book that was written by Sarah Bresnick back in 1995. And it's a daily reading, and then she invites you to write down 3 things every day for which you are grateful. Then from another site, Positive Psychology, and that was also not a form of psychology, and I have studied psychology, but that was a form of psychology I wasn't as familiar with. But it actually is also looking at psychology, particularly as it occurs over the lifespan, because things do change. And one of the reportings from this site is that as we age and are fortunate enough to celebrate birthdays, our sense of gratitude also increases. And that doesn't seem like a far stretch to me. When I think back on, just personally, on my life at the age of 30 versus my life now in my late 60s, then I have a lot more life experience. And as a result, I have a lot more things to be grateful for. So that over the lifespan does seem to increase. What was interesting about that is the gender difference, that is women, female more than male, seem to demonstrate it more often. But I think part of that has to do with how we are socialized. And it's not that men aren't grateful. I think that we as women are just geared to talk about our emotions more and to think about our emotions more, perhaps, this is an opinion, than men. But the evidence has shown that across the lifespan, not just in later years, women tend to have more gratitude, at least as was expressed to researchers, which may also be a bias. Okay, so the previous slide said apps, oh so many, and gratitude can change everything. I typically like to provide apps for whatever the topic is, just because I think those are handy. We can pick them up even if we're in a waiting room often somewhere. I really want to commend this website, happierhuman.com, for that. When you get to the page with gratitude, so it's happierhuman.com, and then within their internal search, gratitude, and it just unloads many things. But one of them is a video, I think it's about 5 minutes long, that talks about apps, and they recommend apps. And one of them I downloaded and have been using, called, it's just simply gratitude. It provides, the website provides the name of the app, what it does, so a synopsis of its content, because different apps do different things. And I think if you're interested enough to explore that, it might help you to narrow the search for what you'd like to try, to have a little bit more information about it. So I've been using this gratitude app, and I chose to get information from all of what it would provide, so I'd be able to tell you all a little bit more about it. We'll send you daily affirmation. It will remind you to take a moment for mindfulness, which allows us just to be present and sit with ourselves and think of something for which we are grateful. It lends itself to other topics within that, and it has a journal within it, and has tools within the journal if you choose to use that. So that was one. Another one that was the editor's review on Apple is called Day One, and it is simply a journal app. So if you know, you could just have a generalized journal app and include your gratitudes within it, but it's a place that you can also put in photos and write about memories and do other things. And then at the end of the year, according to the review, it gives you sort of a synopsis of the year and what happened in your life. And it is you can look back over it from year to year to year. So I haven't tried that one, but I thought that sounded interesting. Please do take a look at these sites if you're interested. I thought it was well organized and put together and gave some very interesting, helpful content within the Happier Human website and their gratitude portfolio. Any questions, comments, apps, or things that any of you all have used that you find to be helpful?
At this point, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions.